Focal atony of the lower uterine segment appears to be a distinct clinical entity, which is associated with postpartum hemorrhage. So I'll just go through a bit of basics. The isthmus is a narrow area between the cavity and the cervix, which is 7 millimeter long, and it enlarges during pregnancy to form the lower uterine segment. By definition, it is the portion of the lower uterine musculature which must undergo circumferential dilatation during labor, its extent being dependent upon the size of the presenting part and its level in the uterine cavity. The lower uterine segment is the thinner, less active part of the uterus in labor, which lies between the physiological retraction ring and the obstetrical internal os. You can see from the picture here. So this is another picture to show that how the passage segment, the lower uterine segment, changes from early labor towards the end of the labor, becoming the thinner lower uterine segment. So the causes of uterine atony, I am not talking about, all the speakers have talked about it. So primary atony of the lower uterine segment appears to be a distinct cause of postpartum hemorrhage that has not been well described in the obstetric literature. And a well-contracted uterus and upper uterine segment and a ballooned out lower uterine segment will lead to postpartum hemorrhage. Only ultrasound and clinical findings will be able to help to reveal the above findings. So what are the factors to support the lower segment PPH? It is certainly plausible that focal atony of the lower uterine segment can occur. It has been long recognized that the lower uterine segment is thinner and less muscular, especially with advancing gestation, as I said before. And it's also possible that some lower segments may have a greater muscular deficiency and be less able to contract well after delivery. It is plausible that cervical atony may have different risk factors and may require different treatment strategies than generalized atony of the uterine corpus. So the true incidence of primary atony of the lower uterine segment is still unknown. Only sonographic examinations, you can't do a sonographic examination at the time of a major PPH. In the setting of maternal obesity, the palpation of a firm upper uterine segment and fundus may be difficult. Therefore, without an ultrasound to assist in diagnosis, PPH may be assumed in many cases to be secondary to generalized atony or 18 products, and we'll be treating them as such. So, as always, the first management includes call for help followed by oxytocic agents, but for lower uterine segment PPH, these may not be effective. Therapy focused more on the lower uterine segment may be more effective than methods used for treating generalized atony, which include bimanual compression of the uterus, compression of the lower segment by packing the anterior fornix, direct intracervical or intramyometrial injections of uterotonics, ligation of cervical branches of the uterine artery, or as Afsana showed before, the clamping of the uterine vessels through the cervix. So this is just a diagram to show the vasculature of uterus, bimanual compression, balloon tamponade. Here, what is important is that the balloon, the placement of the balloon is should be in such a way that it should fill up the lower uterine segment to stop the lower uterine segment PPH. Then uterine vessel clamp, we have already seen that in the previous lecture. If all fails, then we may have to go for the surgical management using Wheeling suture. But here also you have to make sure that it includes the lower uterine segment. If everything fails, then we have to, if we have facilities, to go for the uterine artery embolization. So this is just a case series from Bridgeport Hospital, USA to support this lower segment PPH. 16 women who met the criteria were included in this. The study period from 1996 to 2007, maternal age range from 22 to 38, gravidity 1 to 10, parity 0 to 4, and the mean gestational age of delivery was 37.6 weeks. 14 were singleton pregnancies, 2 were twins. Majority were in labor between 2 to 6 hours. One patient was in labor for 12 hours. 2 women had induction of labor with misoprostol. 9 women had spontaneous onset of labor and augmented with oxytocin. 14 had vaginal delivery and 2 had elective LSES. The median time for onset of bleeding after delivery was 105 minutes, and only one woman, 36 hours post-delivery, PPH happened. The rest within first 12 hours of delivery. All patients received either one or more of the uterotonic agents. Curettage done for 10 patients, uterine packing for 3, and uterine artery embolization for 3 women. Hysterectomy was required for intractable bleeding in 1 patient, and 8 patients received transfusion of blood products. So from this case series, they recommended that it needs increased recognition and awareness of the condition, encourage obstetricians to report their experience, leading to additional studies to better characterize this entity of lower uterine segment PPH. And also we'll have to develop more effective therapies if we could identify this condition. That's all. And the reference is Journal of Obs and Gynae. Thank you very much for the patient listening.